Welcome back. You're watching India Ahead. You're watching a special broadcast with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. Today, we focused on two segments. One, a segment that we've spoken at large already, but still needs to be spoken about, which is how are students as well as professors and teachers dealing with education, teaching and understanding during COVID-19. So how does education look during the lockdown period and how it will change post-COVID-19? The other part of the show, remember that we're already close to the end of lockdown 3. So how will lockdown 4 look like? Some of the states, including Karnataka, have now asked that they will start opening places like salon shops, barbers, as well as gyms. How safe is it? But first, let's begin with our first segment. Now, COVID-19 has resulted in schools shut all across the globe. Globally, over 1.2 billion children are out of the classroom. As a result, education has changed dramatically with the distinctive rise of e-learning, whereby teaching is undertaken remotely and on digital platforms. Research now suggests that online learning has been shown to increase retention of information and take less time, meaning the changes coronavirus have caused might be here to stay. Now, in response to significant demand, many online learning platforms are offering free access to their services. While some believe that the unplanned and rapid move to online learning with no training, insufficient bandwidth and little preparation will result in a poor user experience that is unconducive to sustained growth, others believe that a new hybrid model of education will emerge with significant benefit. There are, however, some challenges to overcome. Some students without reliable internet access, technology struggle to participate in digital learning. This gap is seen across countries and between income brackets within countries. So what really can happen? How can students continue to pursue courses, especially global courses? And how is the world of online education completely changed? I have Ravneet Pawar, the Deputy Vice President for Global CEO South Asia, Deakin University. I also have Antarpreet Singh, Director, Digital Learning, ISB. I'd like to thank both my panelists. Ravneet, let me begin with you first. You represent, a global university. Now, this is a huge challenging time, not just for students, but for universities that you represent as well. At a time when students domestically are finding it almost impossible to keep up with what is happening, many facing technological challenges in terms of what is being taught online, some facing connectivity issues. The other set of the students are, which now feel, because we have this huge exodus of students that go globally, now feeling that are all my global dreams dashed. Would you want to talk us through of how students during the pandemic can still pursue global courses?
I think that this is a time to almost rethink about what can online education do for students that want to continue studying and want to continue looking at reskilling and gaining knowledge. One big aspect of this is students who are in their home country and still want to continue studying international education. And I think for that, online and e-learning is a really, really good option. And for that, I think the main thing that students have to think about is thinking out of the box. You've got to really make sure that you don't think of the traditional style of teaching and learning, whereas you start picking up skills which are important for digital literacy. And I think that the students need to understand that connectivity can still happen at a distance, and the latest technology shows that if the universities use latest pedagogy, use flexibility and blended form of teaching learning, e-learning can be a really good tool for students to continue studying during these pandemic times and beyond. Students who are in different countries at this point of time are still studying online because they are unable to go to campuses and they are unable to study on campus. So basically, online is the tool that students can study through. And my view to this is that blended learning is going to be the near future. It's actually going to be important for students to be thinking about how they can use flexibility, they can use reachability, equity and access as part of their online learning experience.
Right. Before I come to Antarpreet, Ravneet, I have another question for you before I talk about the hurdles and the challenges as well. You represent a university in Australia, and Australia sees a huge chunk of Indian students studying there. Talk to us about some of the concerns that the students have raised over this lockdown period, because a lot of them have missed their deadlines. Some of them do not know how their course connectivity will continue. Some of them stuck in India. They do not know when they'll be able to fly back. So how are you allaying all those concerns about students who still still want to pursue their courses globally, especially in Australia?
So I'll answer this question in two parts. One is the students who are Indian students who are studying at Deakin University. You know, there are a large number of Indian students who had already enrolled at Deakin University in February semester. Now those students, some of them have decided to stay back, some of them have decided to come home. The ones that have stayed back, Deakin has put in $25 million recently to look after its students that are international students and on campus at this point of time. So we are offering them money and as well as support to continue being in another country without much support from their parents that in these times like this. So I think that's the one major thing that universities have to think about is how to look after their international students in unprecedented times like this. So that's the first response. Those students are also studying online. At this point of time, Deakin has more than 60,000 students that are studying online in Australia and in other parts of the world. So then you start thinking about students that are in their home country and want to go to Australia, who were thinking of going to Australia in July or later half of the year. For all those students, we have an online option where students can enroll synchronous and asynchronous learning happens, and they can actually study at a distance to start with and then transfer as soon as borders open.
Okay, let me bring Antapreet here then. Antapreet, India has seen an exponential growth just in the last 2 months in terms of online education. Many schools would never even introduced online education today are dependent fully on it. But online education also has its sets of challenges. For a country like India, a lot of rural areas, remote areas don't even have access to the technology that is needed for online learning, and those students are completely missing out their curriculum, their schedules, in terms of getting school. So how do you think for a country like India can we bridge this gap where online learning could actually become the new normal for schools and colleges?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ridhima. So let me begin and also let me define the global education as a global marketplace. So when we talk of global education, it's a global marketplace. Sure. It includes our own country, it includes India as well as the entire globe. So digital knows no political or geographic boundaries. So when you're talking of global education, we are including India as well as all the countries which are education hubs. Now what is very important, and before I answer your question, what's very important is future readiness of our universities, of our engineering and management and law institutes. Now, future readiness has two components in my view. Future readiness of a school, whether it's in India, let's talk about the global marketplace anywhere in the world. So one is that are we bringing faculty and students in a digital environment, and there is a flawless delivery, which is an online delivery. Now, I've been saying in my talks, I've been saying in my other panel shows that online education itself is not sustainable. The second component to this is wherein we are bringing faculty and students in a physical class, same model as a chalk and talk, which we used to, which was a dominant model, you can call it as a before Corona or in a BC age. We have to bring technology inside the class. So which means there are two components. When we talk of, my co-panelist Ravneet used a term blended learning, and that's the right way to go. So future readiness in India would mean blended learning, wherein you are bringing students and faculty inside.
Okay, and I understand your concern where you're saying that online learning may not be sustainable in the long term, so you need some sort of a middle ground which is blended learning, but I don't know how much of that will work in terms of social distancing and the lockdown that we know, so a lot of uncertainty there. I'll come back to you. Ravneet, what I'm trying to understand from you, and the reason we wanted to get you on board, is to get a perspective of how you're reinventing your entire model of how you used to teach now. You said a lot of students had already signed up in February February for the university that you represent. What happens to those students now? How are the courses being completed? Are you shortening the amount of course? Are timings being revised? How is the entire reinvention of the module of course that has happened now?
Look, I think this is a global issue, and it's not just only related to Deakin University, but let me just answer with Deakin University first as an example. What we are really looking at doing is use of technology in making sure that we are reaching to the student in real time and setting up a study plan, individual study plan for the student, for them to deal with these 6, 8 months or 1 year or whatever time there is during the pandemic when they are not able to be on campus. And there is a very, very interesting response back from our students. Some of our students who are slightly technology savvy say that they really, really are enjoying the online experience, because the fact of the matter is that Deakin actually is a university that has been doing online learning for over 40 years now. So it is not something new for us. We have always taught online as well as on campus, and we have always believed that blended way of learning is the future for students. So for us in the university and for our students, online teaching and learning is not new, but that is us. All the others, as you say in India, for example, there is not much of that happening across the board for other universities who have the experience of excellence online. I think the focus has to be on how you can really, really make sure that teaching and learning has excellence aspect online as well. Because if you are just putting content online, then the students are not going to enjoy the experience. They will not do the learning. Whereas if you actually have the pedagogy to teach online, that is the difference. And I think this pandemic times is going to get a lot of that going more into the future, because people will understand that in times like this, the only way you can learn is online. And down the line, it will be blended. You know, like my colleague is saying, it's not just going to be sustainable online.
I understand, but you know, there are a couple of challenges here. Other than the challenge of, you know, not enough people having the penetration of technology, and Antapreet, I want to bring you in here. The challenge is not just with the students' learning capability of how much they have to learn in this short time. The challenge is also with the teachers and professors who are have never worked with this online system. We are used to a simple system of a chalk and a blackboard and a piece of pen and a paper and pen, and that's how we've learned for decades. To suddenly say in a week that learn this entire online module and this is how education will work will also lead to a slowing of the entire process, because we've never used that system. So do you think that is why the turnaround time in India in terms of, you know, the reciprocity that we'll see in terms of students as well as teachers will take a little longer, because this is something which is not just new for the students but for the teachers and the professors as well?
Yeah, no, I think this is a great opportunity, and let me talk about the mega transformation which is happening to Indian educational ecosystem. And what I've seen in last 60, 90 days, the way the whole ecosystem is taking up the challenge. And here we must understand that it's one subsystem is where you have local faculty whom you are bringing students and local faculty in a digital environment, but at the same point in time you also have access to global faculty for your programs. So that is the second dimension. And the third part, of course, is we say before Corona, during Corona, and after Corona, the blended part. And during Corona, they predominantly we would have online, and that online doesn't mean that we are to the faculty also, but we at the same point in time we could also link to faculty which is outside India, and in a same way the faculty which is there in India can teach students who are outside India. So there are no geographical boundaries, so as to say. Now regarding the transformation which is happening globally as well as very, very rapid pace in India, is investing in technology in terms of faculty development programs. And we must keep in mind that this is all, transformation is all about student experience. Everything revolves around student experience, whether we talk of academicians, technologists, faculty, staff. it's all about student experience. And if we can give world class student experience by bringing in global faculty, for instance, Deakin has a world class faculty, they can teach to students in India of their own satellite centers as well as for the other schools. And in the same way, the faculty in India is learning very fast. And I also would like to mention here that digital education.
I understand your point. No, I understand your point, which you're saying that there has to be a blending in of the system that we have currently as well. Of course, there are hurdles in terms of online education, but if we make the maximum use of this opportunity, then of course we could change the entire landscape of how education is even sent or received in the country. I'm completely out of time for this segment, but I'd like to thank both my panelists. Slipping into a very short break. After we come back, we'll see how states are planning to reopen and what are the kind of demands that they've put forward for lockdown 4.0. That's coming after a very short break.